Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't.
No one inside the paddock expected the shift that was coming. Ducati, the ruler of the last 5 MotoGP seasons, began to feel something they had not felt in years. Not fear, but an unsettling sense of disruption. And the source of that disruption wasn't Honda, not KTM, not Aprilia. It came from somewhere unexpected. From a team that once lived under Ducati's own roof. From a rider whose style seemed to challenge physics itself. From a combination that months earlier wasn't even on their radar. That combination had one name: Toprak Razgatlioglu. And before the 2026 season began, whispers spread across the paddock. This is going to change everything. Toprak's arrival in MotoGP wasn't just another transfer story. It felt like a seismic shift. His journey from World SBK into the most complex, most political, most demanding racing class on Earth created a ripple that turned into a wave. In Superbike, he wasn't merely a champion, he was an icon, a force. A rider who turned braking zones into battlegrounds, who made overtakes appear like controlled chaos, who treated limits as invitations. Toprak was never meant to stay in any comfortable place for long. And when he finally said, "I've waited too long for a bigger challenge," the paddock knew something serious was coming. But what no one expected was how quickly everything around him would begin to shift. The first major shock came not from Toprak himself, but from Pramac Racing. Ducati's most valuable satellite, their longtime partner, their trusted data pipeline, chose to walk away. And not just walk away, they moved to Yamaha. In a single decision, Ducati lost not only a team, but a strategic pillar that had supported their dominance. Pramac was known for structure, speed, decisiveness, and competitiveness. When they aligned with Yamaha and were granted second factory team status, something ignited. Their garage transformed, their motivation surged, their ambitions multiplied. And when Toprak was announced as their 2026 rider, that spark became a fire. Suddenly, Yamaha didn't look like a manufacturer recovering from crisis. They looked like a manufacturer preparing for war. The next blow to Ducati's comfort came from technology itself. After decades of relying on the smooth but limited inline-4 engine, Yamaha made a radical choice, switching to a V4 configuration for 2026. A decision that rewrote the entire DNA of the M1. A decision that changed the behavior of the bike in acceleration, braking, torque delivery, aerodynamics, and corner entry. A decision that aligned perfectly with Toprak's wild, fearless style. A V4 gave him stability under extreme load, punch on corner exit, and braking support that matched his signature late brake plunges. It was as if Yamaha built a weapon and fate handed it to the one rider capable of using it to its fullest. And as engineers whispered about unexpectedly strong early data, Ducati felt the tension rising. But nothing shook them like what happened in Valencia, the first real test. A session usually filled with harmless experiments. Yet this time, it became a warning siren. Toprak needed only a few laps to adapt to the Michelin front tire, a tire that had broken rookies, frustrated veterans, and humbled champions. He braked with the same ferocity he showed in Superbike. The forks compressed violently, the rear wheel danced, yet the bike stayed stable. The mechanics watching him froze for a moment. The paddock exchanged confused glances. This wasn't normal. Then came the rumor that spread like wildfire. Toprak requested extra tires, even willing to use his own allocation, just to accelerate his adaptation. Engineers whispered one chilling line: this isn't even 60% of his true potential. And at Ducati, meetings that were once calm began to grow tense. Inside Ducati's headquarters, confidence began to crack. Not publicly, but internally, where honesty is unavoidable. Technical chiefs pushed for faster development timelines. aero upgrades were accelerated. Engine discussions grew more urgent. Engineers reviewed Yamaha's early footage repeatedly, and someone in Ducati management was overheard saying, "We thought Yamaha needed years, not months." But the biggest problem wasn't Yamaha. It wasn't Pramac. It was Toprak himself. Ducati had no Toprak of their own. No rider capable of the same psychological destruction. A rider like Toprak forces mistakes without touching anyone, simply by appearing in the mirror. A rider like Toprak changes the emotional temperature of an entire grid. A rider like Toprak cannot be copied, and that made him more dangerous than any horsepower number. Meanwhile, the political atmosphere in the paddock began to shift. Yamaha and Pramac were glowing with new energy. Freedom, trust, and ambition filled their garage. Strategists were bolder, mechanics were sharper, leadership was fully aligned with the project. Ducati, in contrast, began to face internal strain. Riders questioned development direction. Engineers felt compressed by deadlines. Team leaders attempted to maintain calm while knowing a storm was forming. For the first time in several seasons, Ducati realized they were no longer simply defending a title. They were defending an era. But everything boiled over during the Aragon testing phase. In a simulated race run, Toprak pulled off a maneuver that froze analysts in disbelief. A double overtake into a corner where overtaking was nearly impossible. He braked impossibly late, dove into a gap no one else would attempt, and forced his rivals wide without contact, without controversy, without chaos. Pure psychological pressure at its finest. And then came the technical bombshell. Toprak had begun understanding Yamaha's new engine brake mapping, a system that even seasoned MotoGP riders struggle to master. Once that rumor hit the paddock, the tone changed instantly. The threat was no longer hypothetical, it was real. Ducati's confidence began to erode, quietly but undeniably. Analysts noted the shift. Riders privately admitted concern. Engineers tightened their plans. Meanwhile, Pramac grew even more confident. Yamaha executives walked through the paddock with a new posture. And Toprak? He simply continued working, lap after lap, improving, adapting, smiling that small, dangerous smile that only appears when a rider knows something others don't. Behind closed doors, strategies began to evolve. Yamaha planned adjustments to support Toprak's aggressive racecraft. Pramac built internal structures specifically for rapid decision-making on race weekends. Ducati pushed their development teams harder, faster, deeper. Exhaustion spread through the ranks. Concern grew. Because for the first time in their dominant era, Ducati wasn't facing an engineering problem. They were facing a human problem. A rider capable of bending situations to his will. As preseason grew closer, tension spread across the paddock. Teams whispered about Yamaha's rise. Journalists searched for clues in body language. Fans debated online, sensing a shift in the balance of power. Engineers triple-checked their data. Team principals compared strategies. And looming over all of it was the presence of Toprak, a silent gravitational force pulling the narrative toward him. The 2026 season hadn't started yet. No race had been run, no points had been scored, but the paddock already felt like a battlefield waiting for the first shot. Ducati rushed development. Yamaha prepared their V4 for the final phase. Pramac sharpened their structure, and Toprak waited patiently, quietly, almost calmly. The calm before something enormous. Because he didn't come to MotoGP to adapt. He didn't come to participate. He came to win. He came to disrupt. He came to rewrite the balance of power. And if all early signs were true, if every whisper in the paddock held even a shred of accuracy, then 2026 would be more than a season. It would be a turning point, a fracture line. A moment MotoGP would look back on for years. Ducati could feel their era trembling. Yamaha could feel a new era rising. Pramac could feel their rebirth becoming reality. And Toprak Razgatlioglu, he could feel destiny calling. When the starting lights go out for the first race of 2026, the world will witness not just another season, but the opening battle of a new war. A war for power, a war for identity, a war that could reshape MotoGP from its very core. Because this time, the threat is real. The storm has arrived, and its name is Toprak Razgatlioglu.